toast, don't you? This isn't my daughter.
Well, I hope she enjoyed the tea.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I will be doing another episode recap on today's Days of Our Lives, August 19, 2024. So we see in the first scene where Kayla is there. She's checking in on Sarah's condition and just asks whoever is on the phone to update her, right? So then Steve comes in and he's like, is this a bad time? And she's like, no, I'm on break, what's up? So he's like, how is Sarah? And she updates him briefly. And then she's like, are you just here for Sarah? He's like, yeah, I'm here to see you. And also I heard that Abigail is back in town and Jennifer is also here to see her. So she's like, she's hoping that everything goes well. And Steve is like, I hope her memory comes back at some point. Is there a chance? And she's like, you really don't know. It's a flip of the coin kind of situation, right? So Steve is like, whatever happens, we are there to support her, right? So we'll go on to the next scene. So we go back to Friday's episode where we see Jennifer and Jack, they're over at the DeMera mansion and Chad is there and they're just there to see Abigail. And Jennifer is understandably nervous because she doesn't know what to expect, how to really approach the situation, right? So Chad is like, she's up there just getting ready, just give her some time, right? So they're just beginning to talk about the whole ordeal and how Abigail is really taking this all in stride and all that. So Chad proceeds to go upstairs to check on her to see what's happening with her, right? So remember Abigail, we really don't know this lady because on Friday's episode, you can check out my episode recap on Friday. So she was talking on the phone to somebody about, the plan is in motion and all of that. So, it could be Clyde, it could be somebody else she's working with, but she's up to something, right? So at some point she's like, she gotta go, she gotta make this convincing. So Chad comes in and Chad's like, I'm sorry to pressure you. And I'm like, Chad, you've been pressuring her from the longest time, even though she's really not Abigail and whatever, but if she was, like, you've been pressuring her from the beginning. So anyways, he's apologizing yet again for it. And, he just wants to know that she's okay, right? So she said that she was on the phone with a nurse that used to take care of her while she was in Poplar Bluff, right? So she was just telling her that her family father and she knows who she is. And Chad is like, okay, but I couldn't help overhear you saying that you're a little bit nervous. So she's like, yeah, it's a lot to take in and all that. So he's like, we could do this another time. And she's like, no, just give me a second, let me get dressed and come downstairs, right? So he comes down and informs Jack and Jennifer that she'll be down there in a bit, right? So we go to the meat and potatoes of Friday's episode where Gabby confronts Ava and Stefan with the truth, right? So again, they try to play it off like, you didn't really hear that and all that, maybe you misunderstood. And she's like, no, even if Connie was lying, I heard it from your sister Kristen. I had to, snatch the truth out of her, threaten her to take my business elsewhere. And you know how Kristen is, right? And the Maras are really not too loyal at all. So at some point he did confess to it, and she threw the glass of champagne on him. It catched a little bit on Ava, and Ava was like, so much for loyalty and all of that. So she's like, you know what, I don't want to work with you anymore. And I already told Kristen that if I still have to work with you, I'm going to take Gabby Chic somewhere else. So Kristen, of course, gonna choose what's good for her business at the end of the day. So Ava was about to confront Gabby some more, but Stefan parted the two of them, so she went her way, and then it just left the two of them to kind of hash it out. I'm saying it's in the middle of the restaurant. It's tacky, it's unprofessional. Listen, everybody was looking at them. It was just embarrassing, a whole mess. So Stefan yet again tried to explain to Sylvan and said that it didn't mean nothing. It was one time, and she just doesn't want to hear it because she's like, she can't trust him. And you know, he's just apologetic. And she's like, you know how much I've been through in jail, and you know, I got my leg broken, I just had a horrible time, you know, and I, you know, yet still you're there, you know, cheating around. So he's like, you know, it wasn't like that, I was drunk. And she's like, you know, Kristen tried to make a case for you, but listen, I just can't trust you, and this is not gonna work, and the marriage, you know, the marriage is over. And he's like, you don't mean this, you don't mean this. And she's like, yeah, I can't be around you, like we can't go home and sort this out. So she ran out, and you know, he's emotional and all of that. And I'm saying, this shouldn't really break up, but I understand that Gabby's in a lot of pain, and she's just really emotional, and that's just what is happening at this point, you know, to say something so irrational, right? But yeah, Stefan should have just tell her from the first opportunity he had to, right? Anyways, let's go on to the next scene. So Abigail, or the woman posing as Abigail, comes downstairs, and you know, Abigail, Jack and Jennifer are looking, and Jennifer, you know, she's kind of stunned. She don't know what to make of the situation, and you know, she reaches out to touch the lady's face, and I don't know what possessed Jennifer, but she's like, I'm sorry, but you're not my daughter. And she's like, huh? So she's like, I know, you know, Jack tried to explain, you know, it's the facial reconstruction surgery and all of that. So she's like, no, she's really not my daughter. I'm not feeling it. So I don't know. Jennifer started having a panic attack, and she just started screaming and shouting like, you know, this isn't my daughter. I don't feel it. So she ran out of there, and I'm like, was this really necessary? Like, this was just a whole production. It was over exaggerated, honestly. So anyways, you know, she ran out, and it leaves Jack, the lady as Abigail, and Chad to talk, right? So Jack is apologizing for Jennifer's actions and all that, and he just doesn't know, you know, where that come from. So anyways, Abigail, quote unquote Abigail, she said that, you know what, let's just try this another time. I'm gonna go back upstairs, right? So it leaves Jack and Chad to talk out something, because he was not pleased with what happened, and he's like, he's just fearful that it's just gonna push Abigail away from them, and she just doesn't want anything to do with them. So Jack agrees with that. He tries to sympathize with Jennifer and how she's feeling, but he also understands Chad's standpoint on, you know, not trying to make this more uncomfortable for Abigail, right? Or for any of them at that matter. So at that point, you know, Jennifer comes back in, and she's like, where's Abigail? And, you know, Chad was like, she went upstairs. You know, she was overwhelmed. She was nervous, as I overheard her on a phone conversation with a nurse that used to treat her back in Poplar Bluff. So she has a lot going on, and she's like, you know, we can't afford for this to happen again. So I'm just thinking that, you know, Jack was also saying that, you know, maybe they need to go back to Boston and just come back when Abigail, you know, remembers and she's in a better space. And she was, at first, she didn't get it. And she was like, you know, I'm here for her, and I'm sorry about the outburst earlier, but, you know, I promise I won't do it. But Chad is like, but you will still feel the same way inside. So might as well you just go back to Boston for now. So Jennifer finally understands. And then at some point, Abigail comes back down, and they, you know, she said that they're going back home to Boston, and, you know, they will be back when she is in a better space. So, you know, she understands, and that was that, right? So we see Ava outside the square, right? And she is on the phone with Kristen. She's like, you know, so much for friends. Like, you really stabbed me in the back, you know, because of Gabby and her business. Like, how could you do this, right? So anyways, she hung up the phone, and she gets a missed call from Melinda. So we're gonna get into the next scene with Melinda, right? So remember on Friday's episode where Melinda goes over to Connie's place, and, you know, she's just there to terminate her because of her fraudulent resume, and it's not good for business. So then she asked Connie for the laptop and other company property, and Connie was reluctant to give her at first, but then she's like, you know what, do we need to involve the police? So she's like, no need for that. Let me go fix up the room for a second and then let you in. So she closed the door, and she's there conversing with the cutter board version of Lee, right? At some point, she's like, how am I gonna do this? Like, you know, how am I gonna fix this situation? Like, you know, I'm so close to the enemy. I'm so close to getting my plans sorted out and all that. So Melinda is having enough of this, and she's like, let me in. Like, I can't stand here the whole day. So she's like, all right, I got the perfect solution. So she up to something again, child. So she lets Melinda in. So at some point, Connie begins to tell her about her life story, and I don't know why Melinda, at first she refused the tea that Connie was offering, which was smart, but then she decided to sit down and have tea with her, and I'm like, Jesus, look how I thought Melinda was smarter than that. But anyways, Connie begins to tell her life story, and then she's like, I did it to get closer to Gabby, right? And she's like, closer to Gabby, I knew you like her, but you're a real fan. So she's like, not really. I really don't like her or her husband. I'm there to just, have my revenge. So she's like, revenge. So at some point, she begins to blah, blah, on and on and on. And then it gets to her. And she's like, you guys are the reason why Lee's dead and blah, blah. So I'm out to get you all. So at some point, Melinda starts to feel dizzy and woozy from the tea. And she's like, I put a drug in there. So she's like, at some point she tried to call Ava, and that's where Ava got that missed call, because she's like, Ava knows that I was here. So Connie was like, it doesn't even matter, like they won't come looking for you. So anyways, Melinda just falls ill, and Connie puts her on the couch, and Connie is like, I hope she enjoyed the tea. So she went about her business again. I don't know if Melinda is gonna die like Everett did, but anyways, that was it, guys. That was it for today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.